Okay, this is Captain Ellison. I'm the commander of RDF 5. We're going to give you a little in-house training on how to pack for deployment. With me is Captain Tim Roddy over here and Captain Cindy Kunkel, both deputy commanders of RDF 5. Start with, here is the ODU uniform. It's the new gig that we have. It's a little warm. We've worn it today at the Leavenworth Veterans Parade, but it's what we have now. Also, you should know, when they talk about the command ball cap, this is it, not the 8-point. This is the prescribed hat, unless you hear different, which would be the 8-point hat. If you pack right, you'll have two bags, one of which you get into minimally if you're in a hotel situation, and I'll get into the hotel versus field situation in a minute, and the other is the one you should always have with you. Now, what I have is one that has a camelback arrangement where you have 2-quart or half-gallon almost water capability that comes in a bladder that zips in the back. You want water. The other time I always have is I'm old Army, as you may well know, and I have an Army canteen in here that I always take with me. And you can do a lot with an Army canteen. You can get what we call a Tommy cooker. It's a metal cup you can use for food when you're in a chow line and there's nothing there to eat your chow with. You can also heat water with it. I got some methamphetamine tablets in here. I'll show you how that works. And not saying you have to do this. I'm just telling you what I've used over the years, whether it's Army, Coast Guard, or PHS. And believe me, if you don't take it with you, a lot of times you won't have it. So that's my lesson learned there. To start with, you need the tools of your trade. I'm a pharmacist, and I used to carry a pharmacy counting tray. Now I got like 40 pharmacists on the team, so I think they'll show up with that. I do carry Lexicomp on my cell phone, so I have my pharmacy references with me. If you're a pharmacist, I'd look into that because you're not going to have any there supplied. They'll tell you you do, and you never do. What do I have? A second hat. It's good. We're laughing at Tim, I just had to buy one. But you are officers representing RDF 5 in the Public Health Service. And if you lose a hat, you're up a creek because you got to have a hat. You got to be in uniform all the time. The other thing I'll show you real quick, it's in a separate pouch on this pack, is my rain gear. And I went with the Gore-Tex. I've been at this game a long time. The Gore-Tex is lightweight and it's rather expensive, but usually it pays for itself. And you look at all the times we're going to deploy, there's usually moisture involved. So I would certainly consider that. And it's always good to have it easily accessible in an outside pocket so you can get it when you don't have to take everything out while you're packed to get to it. So that's one of my lessons learned. Okay. Now, in the outer sleeve of my backpack, I have the business of what I need to do, and that's run an office or a command. And I got a phone charger, I got a little flashlight when you get caught out with one that worked last night. Anyway, there we go, you want a backup flashlight that's easily accessible, that doesn't take up any bulk. I got pins, and if you're an old officer like me, I got a little extra pair of half glasses, so if something goes wrong with my glasses, I can do my paperwork anyway. I got extra memory sticks with all the documents I need to, command documents, etc. I got them backed up twice, and that's all about being prepared. You guys don't have to worry about this stuff, but I got some field operation guides and stuff that I need to talk the language to the commands I have to do business with. So again, it's about forethought and preparedness and having with you what you may need. So that's the outside sleeve. Now the inside sleeve. This is the liner for the ODU outside jacket. Most think, well, gee, we're most likely to deploy for a hurricane. Yeah, but we have earthquakes year round, we have blizzards, we have floods. I'd certainly go with something to keep you warm. You can't do well unless you're comfortable. Then I've got backup, the new blue t-shirt, got some old Army underwear, and I got socks. I got lots of socks. When you come on the team, we have archived some of my past commander's notes. I have a nice one on socks and shoes, or the boots. And I would urge you to look into that if you're new to this game. You got to take care of your feet because they take care of you. And the big lesson there is, you'll see I got all kinds of socks, different weights of socks. And you got to change your socks to match the conditions. If it's very hot and humid, your feet will swell. And then you're going to get in a situation where you're rubbing abrasions or ended up in blisters on your feet. And the more often you change the socks, you can keep that moisture away and avoid some problems. The other thing I have in here, I got one MRE. And they're not that hard to get. They're hard to keep them in date, although these will last 10 years. But you never know the situation you're going to get in. We normally do a good job of taking care of everybody and getting things planned logistically, but then things do go wrong. And that gets us to another point. When you travel in your ODU. Half the load is taken off your back because you're wearing it. The boots are a big part of it. They don't fit in this stuff very well, so you wear that. And a short example of when I first deployed to Hurricane Rita in Texas in 2005, that was the first ad hoc team. Hurricane Katrina had already occurred. We were pulling people from all over the Corps. We didn't have set up teams. And we had people running through the airports because I was trying to find my people coming in on various flights. They weren't in uniform. And I'm running around and saying, are you on the team? And you get off the plane, we can tell exactly who's who and approach them or send somebody there in uniform. You can gravitate to them. And when plane flights get disrupted, they'll give you priority because you're in uniform and you're on a deployment status. The other thing is you won't get charged extra baggage on if your baggage is overweight if you're in uniform. So, and that's good. So the next one, most carry-ons are supposed to be around 35 pounds and the big bags are under 50. And I know this one's under 50, this one's probably heavier than that, but that's our situation with that. And again, I'm not kidding about socks. I got more socks here, and I got more socks in the big bag when we get to that. So we're going to set this off to the side and repack that later. Set it up there on the counter. Okay. If you're buying bags, buy black. That seems to be the universally accepted bag. I bought this at a Cabela's sale. I got it for like 60 or 80 bucks. I can't really remember. They're more expensive than that now, but I do recommend this. This has worked well for me. It has a handle on it where you can wheel it. It has wheels. I highly recommend wheels because you can be deposited a long way from transportation. And you got one to carry on your back, one to wheel. If worse comes to worse, you can put this on your back and carry that one on your front. And I don't think that happens often, but you ought to know it may happen. Now, in the top of this, there's several housing options you may end up with. One may be a barracks where you have bunk beds and you have 60 men on a barracks. Last time we did that was, what was the one? APO Hill, Fort Hill. And we were in a barracks setting, and what you'll find is a spring mattress, well, not a bed type spring with a solid cotton mattress on it, and nothing else. So I go with a pillow because it'll fit. It's a small pillow, ladies, remember that. I take reusable towels, they're camping towels, they'll dry quickly. And then I also also take bedding for that mattress type arrangement. And I got a blanket here. I got a set of sheets to put on the blanket. Even got, oh, my wife threw in a pillowcase. That's good. Okay, so we're good. Hangers. You want hangers? Because you got to dry stuff out. It won't dry out wadded up on your bed. Hangers. I got PT gear. Got a pair of my old Coast Guard running shorts. And I got extra underwear here. I got soap on a rope. It's just a case you can put on a rope to hang in the shower. And a soap case inside. And here's another good one. You want flip-flops. You got to take care of your feet. You can tell I may be overly focused on feet, but in a barracks shower situation, you're going to get athlete's foot unless you take care of your feet with a shower shoe. And I got some toothpaste that I stick in this deal. And there's another soap on a rope. And there's some shampoo on a rope. Pretty soon I'm not going to need the shampoo. And look here, guess what I got? More socks. Never enough socks. Got to keep your boots shined. Listen to me on that, folks. Running shoes with socks. And here's a unique one. Get one of those cheap sewing kits, because you only got what you got. As far as uniform, you got to take care of it. And I get some thread that matches the blue. I see I don't have that in there. But we'll take care of that. Here's a backup pair of running shorts. And more socks. I'm having trouble getting this all back to the way it was. Here's a hat I wear when I'm running. And here's a neat one. This is a laundry bag. You may, in a barrack situation, get an opportunity to wash, and you dump everything in a bag with what we call a laundry pin. This is the way it's done on ships anyway. When I was the OIC on the Last Mercy mission, this is how we washed all our clothes. And invariably that pin will come undone. It's hard to believe, so you tie it in a knot and put the pin through the knot. And there's my name, and I was in room 254-2 on the US Naval Ship Mercy. Here's another laundry bag for some reason. So, that's what we got with that. We'll put this back together in a minute. While we're still talking about bedding, Tim, I'm going to need you to help me with this. You pull that way, and I'll pull this way. I guess I'll put this up so it won't fall. Here's an extra sheet and blanket. Here's one of my, I guess I can see that. Here's one of my good ideas. I have a full sleeping bag in here, because sometimes you won't have the hotel, you won't have the barracks, you'll have whatever's arranged. This is not likely to happen, but I've been turned out from an airplane on a runway in the dark, promised water, and nothing ever showed for a long time. So you end up setting up on your own. So this bag has a Gore-Tex liner. Not saying you got to do this, I'm just recommending, telling you what's worked for me over the years. And I put one of these vacuum bags on it where you put the bag over it, put the vacuum on it, and you can suck all the air out of it, and it'll fit in bags like this. And here's an extra vacuum bag. And this is like opening Christmas stuff. This is an Army poncho liner, and I recommend this because it's a poor man's sleeping bag. You can get the Army poncho. This will snap in it, and you've made a sleeping bag out of that, just to let you know. Here's another blanket. Here is my ultimate backup. This is a tarp. I won't unfold it, but I can make a tent in any ditch and get through the night and do rather well. I'm not saying you have to do this, but I want you to profit from the experience I bring here. I've been deploying for a long time. Army, Coast Guard, and now PHS. I won't say I'm the most deployed guy, but I'm glad to be up there. And the point is, you want to cover the eventualities. And if you got it, then it'll give you a peace of mind, and you're not going to be as concerned about what may happen as the events unfold, because you're ready for what really can unfold. So that's part of my message. And I'll probably do it for this. Now, we still got more room in the bag. What is this? Yeah, it's a Frisbee, but it makes a doggone good plate. And it's easy to wash, and it won't fold up on you, and that's what it's in there for. And this is my own knife and fork. This is a Swedish-made job I found a long time ago. Has salt in one end and pepper in the other. You have to go, but nobody says you have to rough it. And I'm ready to eat if that's what it's going to take. This is kind of a possibles bag, but I got earplugs, some shoe inserts, and various things like that. Keep life comfortable. In the old days, we used to have to take a khaki uniform along with the ODUs, and then it was called the BDUs. And I have this generated, and I just keep it with me. It's a case that I can take my ribbon bars in case I have to dress up to that regard. And we don't normally have shoulder patches. That's not on our uniform anymore, but in the past, depending on your deployment, you may be required to do that. And I take just extra stuff for the uniform in here. But a rigid plastic case like this will keep it good for you if you do that. Again, another flashlight. And here's a little trick. This is a larger flashlight, but it also pulls out, and you can hang it in a tent environment, and you got enough area light that makes it convenient, at least for those around you as well as yourself. There's a story about, I call this a poofer. I did one of these classes for the folks at Rosebud when we did one of the CASM missions in 2012. And a bunch of the ladies on the team stuffed, these are two I didn't know. Anyway, poopers in my bag. It's kind of a good, humorous thing, and we like to have fun on RDO 5. Here's something you can take with you, and I do recommend it, but it's called a universal tool. It's a Leatherman. It's got pliers, a knife, all that stuff makes good planning. And again, yet another flashlight. And at least once a year you change all your batteries in these things so they stay up. Now this thing is invaluable. It's a headlamp. They're cheap. They're under 10 bucks. There are more expensive ones, but this will do you fine. And it has different sets of lights. And the red is especially helpful. So I just want you to be aware of that. That's a hands-free light. I also take some tape with me. You know something's going to break down. And if you want, you can take one of these cups. And sometimes that saves you some time and it's more convenient. And that'll fit in there. I also throw in 1 or 2 padlocks because you may get to a barrack situation where you do get to a foot locker or something like that, or even a locker. So having some of those, and I do recommend you get ones that all use the same key, and that's not that hard to do. You can go buy a set of 4 to 6 of those depending on where you go, and that can be arranged. Need a laundry line? I got one. And that seems to be about all that's in there. Alright, we're going to step over to the other side. Look, am I showing up on the camera? All right, Dave. All right, you got gloves, and I got 2 sets of gloves, one with liners and one without, depending on what the temperature is. These are my methenamine sticks, which I told you are put under the canteen cup and heat some hot water if I want to. And I got some various cords there, depending on what I gotta have with me. Some little packs of Kleenex are always good. Some bug repellent. Suntan lotion. That could be very important depending on the situation. And I got some respirator masks. They're not the high quality stuff like the M75, but they're better than nothing in some regard. And I got radio and a headphone. And sometimes that just helps to get you relaxed after a hard day of trying to keep up with all the changes that come your way. So hopefully this is helpful to you. It gives you an idea of how it may work for you. And again, try and have that pack that you take with you with a backup uniform in it plus what you wear. You need to travel in your ODU, have your hats, and you know, as light as you can make it. This is what I take, and it won't let me down. Hopefully you'll get enough closure from this that you can prepare the same. Any other comments, Cindy, Tim?
I'll wrap it up.
That's it. Thanks for watching and participating on RDF5.